So I'll just welcome everybody again. Everybody just joining now to our webinar, 8 Tricks to Digital Marketing Mastery. I just want to take a minute to introduce everybody now to our guest expert. So today we actually have the honor of having Andrew Schiestel, Chief of WOW at TBK Creative. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Reagan, and hello, everybody.
Awesome. So I'm just going to give everybody a bit of a background on Andrew now. So he's actually a senior partner and chief of WOW at TBK Creative, heading an international award-winning web design and social media marketing agency that is based out of London, Canada. His client work has actually appeared now in media publications from coast to coast, including CBC, CTV, The Globe, Yahoo News, Huffington Post, London Free Press, our own, and Metro, amongst many others. So actually in the last 3 years, Andrew's trained over 300 businesses now on web and social media marketing at corporate events and conferences across Canada. Business London has called him Mr. Social, and the London Free Press has actually called him a rising star in London's high-tech sector. Recently at the 2013 Internet Advertising Competition, Andrew was involved in projects with TBK that won Outstanding Website and Manufacturing for work the agency has done with North Star Windows and Doors. They also won Best Online Campaign in Manufacturing for work that was also done with North Star Windows and Doors. And Best Online Campaign for a healthcare provider, work done for Fertility Ontario. There was a win for Best Social Media Campaign in the legal industry, and that was work done with Siskins, a law firm, which is actually something that TBK has snagged for 2 years running now. And some of TBK's local clients include North Star Windows and Doors, Scholar's Choice, Siskins LLP, Fertility Ontario, Dream Lottery, Oakwood Resort as well, amongst many others. And when talking to Andrew a little bit actually about his commitments in this field, he said that he's committed to a world where businesses aren't ignorant or scared of digital and social media, but are clear about its potential, are in action around it, and are thriving as a result of it. And on that note, Andrew, I'm going to hand it over to you. Welcome to the call.
Thank you, Reagan. Thank you, and thank you again, everybody, for being here, and really just taking the time in your schedule to be here. I know you're all corporate professionals or entrepreneurs or marketing managers or directors, and you've really blocked off an hour of your time during a busy day. And I know that's because you're really committed to something around really harnessing the power of digital. So I really just want to acknowledge you for being, taking the time and being here. On this screen, you're going to see a hashtag in the bottom left called hashtag TBKU. Since the topic is digital, I encourage you to whip out your mobile if you have a need, and to tweet something during the event. Reagan, I'm kind of throwing this on you right now because I actually didn't tell you this, but would you be able to monitor TBK's Twitter account throughout and maybe toss out a couple tweets as well?
I absolutely can.
That's just a bold, like, out of nowhere request, but if you do that, I think it'll make this talk very, very digital.
I'm on it.
Awesome. All right, so let's really just get going here. I want to begin by sharing a story about diving in. And before I share the story, though, I want to let you guys know what I'm sort of observing out there in business right now. I'm obviously from an agency perspective, I meet with a lot of companies, small, medium, large businesses, and I get to hear their perspectives of life and corporate world and challenges and opportunities from a vast array of different industries, and I get really excited by that. And in the last three and a half years, it's been interesting to see how conversations are changing amongst the same types of organizations in how they relate to web, digital, social. And I want to share something with you guys. And I think a lot of you will just recognize this yourselves. For the most part, businesses are no longer really arguing the fact that digital media has arrived and it's very influential. I meet very few businesses anymore, and it wasn't this way 3 years ago. I meet very few businesses anymore that just say, oh no, this whole Google thing, I don't know what that is, and I don't see how that could make a difference for my business. I think businesses really now have come to accept that consumers are researching products differently than they did 10 or 20 years ago. They are finding out about businesses a lot of times differently than they did 10 or 20 years ago. They are, in a lot of cases, making buying decisions based on the web, and that wasn't always the case 10 or 20 years ago. So businesses, I believe, have, for the most part, like if we were to call it like a collective, like how collectively they think about it, it has changed in the last three and a half years, and it's changing with velocity right now. Now, here's what I've noticed, though. There's two states that businesses are in, and I'm generalizing a little bit, but I think this is true. The first state is I bump into businesses that are in action or they're about to get in action around digital marketing, digital media, web, social media, etc. They're in action, and they're learning just like all of us about new platforms, ways to do better. They're making errors, they're failing, but they're also succeeding. They're making progress most of all. So overall, it's a business that's in action. They might not know it all, and I haven't met anybody that knows it all, myself included. But really in action and having a willingness to try things out and to learn from those triumphs and failures. So that's the first category that I bump into. The second category is businesses that are in paralysis. And if I could best describe this kind of business, this business actually knows digital has arrived. But they actually have their head in the sand. And I think they have their head in the sand because of fear or a misunderstanding of what it really takes to execute a digital marketing program economically, spending the right amount of money in the right places, tactically, like just doing the right things. So I just think they just lack it. And so instead of taking action or going out and finding experts, or empowering and enabling their team, really investing in their people, they put their head in their sand. And I think that's only going to happen for a little while longer. I actually have a theory about why a lot of businesses that could be medium in size, any size business, they have their head in the sand and they're not being triggered to actually act. And this is my theory. When they look at the revenues right now, there might not be much of a difference if they're not, if they don't, maybe they have a website, but it looks like an online business card, or they're not doing search engine marketing, or they don't care about search engine optimization. They haven't even thought about social media. My theory is why these people haven't yet dived in is that when they look at their numbers, it's not being impacted yet because a lot of their competitors still aren't fully effectively using digital media. So they haven't been able to really feel the impact yet. They haven't felt that pain yet of actually seeing 20% of their market share get chopped off over the course of 3 or 4 years, because their competitors aren't fully there yet either. This media is still too emerging. But with any theory, I have a prediction that in the next 5 years we all will see this really dramatically change, because a lot of you guys on the call are the testament of that. You here represent a business yourselves, and you're investing, you're learning, you're open to knowledge, you're clearly in action if you're on this call to better yourself and better your business around what it takes to run a digital marketing program and have it succeed. And so it's this army and this group of marketers who are investing in themselves and their businesses to get smarter, that over time, since every year more and more consumers are using the web to make these kind of decisions and research and consume media, it will just change. It will just change at some point. So I gave the I think an important preamble. I don't want to downgrade the importance of the message by calling it a preamble, but it is a preamble nonetheless, to share with you guys my experience and what I'm experiencing speaking with businesses right now, and that's inside of an acknowledgement as well for everybody on the call. So I want to share with you guys a story about diving in, and I want to share this story. It's a real local success story. North Star Windows and Doors. They are Ontario's largest vinyl windows manufacturer. Out of all the windows produced in Canada, North Star produces 5% of them. They're based in St. Thomas, Ontario. And a lot of you on the call probably are familiar with North Star. They build a phenomenal, great window. I would say that North Star, and I really want to share this as a kind of an intro story. North Star was in that first group that I described. They were a group that had a real willingness to take action upon digital media, and that willingness really started to take root at the start of 2012, when their company reached out to my company to ask for assistance with the web and social media. And where they were at was they had a willingness, because they've started to observe that consumers, when they're making window and door purchases, are doing things differently. They're researching more online. They're finding their dealers through the web. And so they knew that, but they didn't yet have a perspective internally called, what are all the specific actions we're going to take digitally to grow our brand and help our dealers grow the brand. As a manufacturer, they have dealers. It's a very important facet of their business. So, but they had a willingness to take action. So we got to work, and we started a slowly introduce digital into their regular marketing strategy and make it integrated. And we focused on developing a new website, for instance, that was really engaging. It had a really professional branded touch point that's consistent with the quality of their windows. We made it much easier for consumers to contact the company. We were noticing thousands of consumers were coming to North Star's website, and it just wasn't conducive. Like, there was so much opportunity to have those consumers do something on the website. And so we wanted to build a website that would actually support generating leads and having consumers contact North Star. And then they could pass it off to their local dealers for sales meetings. We ran 2 online campaigns last year for the first time in North Star's 30-year history. We bought a bunch of digital media in Toronto to help build the brand in the Toronto area. And why that's actually a success story in and of itself is that in the past, North Star has never really tried to enter the Toronto marketplace through traditional media because it's been too cost prohibitive. And we saw some openings around digital media in the Toronto marketplace. And we started educating their dealer network on what it would take for them also to increase their sales using digital. And it's in a more important time than ever for dealers, because and these are independent businesses that carry North Star's products. There's around 280 dealers across 4 provinces and 3 states. It's important because the bigger competitors, these other big window companies, who, if I mentioned their name, you would know, you would recognize the brands. A lot of these competitors have more unified brands. They don't have dealer networks. They have maybe franchise models or corporate models, but they're funneling all their money into one strategy, so they can kind of invest wisely, and that over time can really play a role and impact a dealer network. And so we took some really strong, bold actions with North Star, and picked it up a notch and introduced digital into their marketing strategy. And the results are very persuasive. In year-to-year comparables, their website traffic is up over 100% in 10 months, year-to-year comparables. In the last 10 months, they would have predictably had around 300 leads come through their website. Manufacturing companies aren't really known, and they don't focus on generating a lot of leads. We shifted that with this strategy, and as a result, in the same 10 months, North Star had over 9,000 leads come through this website. It's over a 2,900% increase in lead acquisition through this website. And we were able to link back over $1.8 million in wholesale sales through this website in the last 6 months alone. And I'm going to show you guys on this call a couple of the tactics that we did to help us link some of that ROI. And as Reagan mentioned at the start of the call, it got recognized internationally. It won the website that you guys saw, which is at northstarwindows.com, won Outstanding Website in Manufacturing at the Internet Advertising Competition, and Best Online Campaign in Manufacturing for a campaign that we ran back in the fall. And I don't share this story to impress everybody on the call, but I share to press upon you that digital media is a huge opportunity now when done right. That's the point of me sharing the North Star story. And the perspective I think that businesses need to take around that second boat that North Star wasn't, is if you're going to have your head in the sand, can you really see what's going above the ground? So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be going through here 8 real tactical strategies that I think are useful for you to know. And I think a good perspective sort of to come from, or good action for you to take, is if something here is new, like if there's just something you're hearing that's new and you're like, you know what, that's valuable. I want to learn more. This stuff is to learn more. There's free information online. So one of my intentions of the call, obviously, is to empower and enable you to take action, but also for you to find something that you like here, and then drill down deeper yourself and learn more yourself, and then if it makes sense, introduce it into your own marketing strategies. Okay. So without ado, let's begin. We'll start with an enhanced feature within Google nowadays that I want to make sure everybody knows about. The first trick is AdWords conversion tracking. So if you run an AdWords campaign, and you know what, I don't even want to go there. If you want to run an AdWords campaign, because I also see this happen with businesses, what a lot of businesses need and they should want, is to validate the results that their digital marketing campaigns are running, such as AdWords. So if you're familiar with AdWords, it's a product, it's a Google product, and it's an advertising product. Advertisers can purchase ads from Google, whether through Google's search engine. So when your customers are searching for your products, your company's ads show up, or through their display network. So you can actually advertise to people through different websites that are part of Google's network. There is a way now through AdWords conversion tracking. It's a feature within Google that you can actually produce a report for yourself, if you're the director of your department, or for your boss, and the report can look something like this. We spent $1,000 this month, and it produced us 1,210 clicks. That's reportable through Google. And then you can set up code on your website that's provided by Google through Google's AdWords portal for conversion tracking. And what you do is you put the code on the thank you page of your website. So if you are a dealer or a professional services company, you probably have some kind of form. I don't know what it is. You're looking at a screen here where it's a get a free quote. You could be a lawyer on the call, and you might have book a free 30-minute consultation with us. Whatever that is, you put the code on the thank you page, and it actually tracks it for you. So when you're building this report, it'll say, you spent $1,000 this month. It produced 1,200 or so clicks, and most importantly, it produced 35 leads. So that is a trick that you now can do with digital advertising. So you can begin to report ROI. The next thing you want to do to really fine-tune the ROI is you should determine for yourself. My recommendation is you determine for yourself, what is your average sale worth? That's the first thing. And then the second thing you determine is, what is your close rate? Both of those items are very important for you to close the loop on ROI. Because if you had 10, so if you spent $1,000 and you had 30 people contact your company, and you can track that through Google AdWords, through conversion tracking, as we're talking about, and your close rate's 50%, and your average product is, let's say, $5,000. So you had 30 leads, you've closed 15 at $5,000. That's $75,000 in sales. In that case, for $1,000, it's hypothetical, but you get the point. It's trackable, and now you can answer a really important question for your marketing: Did my spend this month make me money? And it gets you about, in a lot of cases, depends on your business, it gets you about halfway there or a third there in tracking, but it's at the minimum end. What it doesn't track in this case, let's say you have a retail outlet, it wouldn't track how many people went to your website, saw that you have a showroom, and then they showed up in your showroom, right? You'd have to think about a different method for that, but at least it starts to show the picture of how your campaign's working, where a lot of traditional media just cannot do because of the nature of it. And just so everybody knows, if you hear me say like, traditional media can't do something, I actually mean it when I say it. I really do. So I don't want any ambiguity there. But just so you get a better sense of where I come from as well. A lot of our campaigns still have traditional media involved in it. I'm not anti-traditional media in any sense. I'm actually very pragmatic when it comes to it. My commitment is always that the clients that we work with really just grow. And sometimes you got to choose what media that you're going to use in some instances, and all of them have their pros and cons. But I just want to put that out there so there's no ambiguity. And so, in that one case study right that you guys just saw there before, we know just through the form alone, for every $100 that client's spending, they're making $672 in sales on the forms alone. And in any kind of window and door dealer type business, more people call and more people visit showrooms, on weekends and stuff. It's like it's the husband and wife who wants to go by, look at possible windows or doors. Then they would fill out the form. But this at least tells us what we're doing is making money, and then that allows the client to make a choice. And so, oftentimes that choice is to spend more. That's the first trick. And by the way, as we go along, I really want to encourage people to ask questions. I know Reagan pointed that out at the top, but I know there's something that everybody's committed to, or you wouldn't be on the call in the first place. So if you have a dying, or burning question that comes up, feel free to ask it. Reagan will, if it seems really relevant and there's a spot where I've taken a breath, Reagan, I'm sure will ask it. And if not, we'll try to get to it in the Q&A. And if we've missed some questions at the end, because sometimes we just get a ton of questions as they come in. Then we'll just think about at the end of the call and speak with you guys about how we can handle some of the extra questions in the future.
Andrew, we do have a really enthusiastic audience, and they're showing that in their tweets right now. So,
are you tweeting back?
Oh Reagan? Yeah, they're coming back. Yep.
I love it. All right, digital trick number 2. I really like this one. I think there's a lot of businesses that aren't doing it yet, and it's setting up phone analytics within your website. And so I'm just going to show you some screenshots here, everybody, from different websites. And you wouldn't know this about these websites. These are some of our client websites. You wouldn't know these about these websites, but those phone numbers that you're looking at actually have what's called phone analytics set up, and those phone numbers actually change based on the traffic source of the user, and we can actually track through a web portal how many people are calling, how long they're calling for, and what traffic sources they come from. That's what phone analytics is. And so it's useful again to start to close the loop further using digital media to be able to track how much your website or digital assets or digital media campaign is making. So let's go back to this $1,000 hypothetical example. I think it's a good one. You spend $1,000 on Google AdWords, and you or your boss says, please, I want to validate to me how much this is making. Well, you know that the $1,000 through conversion tracking, which was trick number 1, made 17 leads, and this is hypothetical, 17 leads on a given month. But then through a phone analytics software, and I'm going to give you a software name here in a moment. Through a phone analytics software, you can also say, okay, we spent $1,000, we have the 17 leads, that's trackable, but we also got 14 phone calls through our website from AdWords as well. And again, how this happens, it's a code that goes on your website that's provided by a vendor. I'm going to give you guys a recommendation in a minute. And because of the code being on the website, it makes the phone number dynamic. So again, it changes the phone number based on the traffic source through Google Analytics on your website, and that's what gets tracked. So then you can start to even more so track what your different mediums are making you in leads. Okay. And that's the recommendation. That's a vendor that we use. They're really good people. That's why I recommend them. And it's non-commission link. I'm not getting paid to say that. It's just a company that we use and we've been happy with, so I don't mind sharing good services when I find them.
Andrew, I just want to make sure that's if by phone, right? That first letter is an I.
That's correct.
Okay.
Ifbyphone.com. I believe they're out of Chicago.
Looks a bit like an L, so I didn't want people to get confused on that one.
No, it's a good question. Okay. Digital trick number 3. So I'm going to preface this. So most websites have 3 broad segments that go to them. This area really excites me. Most websites are designed to really capture leads from the first segment of users, and that's people that are looking for your services and they want to buy right now. That's great, and most websites are geared towards that, and I think they should be. That's how we make money online. One of the ways we make money online. So that's the first segment. The second segment of users, you'll get to your website, almost everybody's website. I can't imagine a website that's outside of these 3. The second segment is people that are in the wrong target audience, and they'll never be in a position to buy your product. You know, you could be selling in the London marketplace. You could be a retailer here, and somebody could show up on your website from BC. You know, so they're just outside of your market. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just how it goes. You know, maybe they found you through Facebook. I don't know. Maybe they Googled you and you came up somehow. But they'll never buy your product. So that's the second segment. The third segment is a segment that doesn't get spoken about a whole lot in web. And this segment is bigger than the first. I'd assert it's probably bigger than the second one as well. And it's the audience that comes to your website who will buy one day, but they're not ready to buy right now. That's actually a big segment coming into your website. And think about it, everybody. When was the last time you guys went to a website and you didn't buy right now? Okay, so I can feel it through the computer. There's acknowledgement there. So that's how big it is. It's actually a huge opportunity right now being missed with most websites that our agency looks at. And so what you have to think about it then is, how do we capture those leads of people that aren't ready to buy right now? It's easy to capture a lead when somebody calls you or they fill out a form, but how do you capture a lead of the bigger portion of people that are your target audience? You know, they will buy legal services at some point, or if you're post-secondary school on the call, they will be going to university at some point, but they haven't made their university or college decision yet. How do you capture them? So there's 2 tactics. So this first two major tactics that we use successfully, and the first one I'm going to share with you guys here is is ebook download. So what you do is you actually produce content. We call it premium content, and you make it available on the website. The content needs to solve a specific issue that your audience is coping with or dealing with. You leverage your internal resources typically for it, because there's a particular amount of knowledge or intellectual property naturally in the business that you're at. That's why you're in business. And then you produce content around it, and then you make it available on your website for download. And when you make it available, you can have people actually fill in information, and that can produce a lead. At TBK, we call those leads soft leads. They're soft leads because they're not saying, you know, I want to buy your service right now, but they definitely are saying, I am in your target audience. You provide a service that can solve a problem of mine, and I just want to learn more. And so you're looking at a cover page of a educational ebook, so an ebook that we produced in the past for a clinic here in really great fertility services clinic here in London called Fertility Ontario, and they make this available for free online. And you can just see a couple screenshots of the PDF, and it's written by a doctor. It's engaging. It's light. It's branded, and it works. And then you make it available for download, as I mentioned, and so you can see the bottom of the Fertility Ontario website, and we make it available to people. You can download it. You wrap it around the blog. A lot of people say, I don't know how to blog and make money blogging, or create leads, or create new sales, or whatever the business is in. People get really uninspired to find around blogging. So this is what you do then. Well, you blog, but you wrap the blog with ebooks or other types of premium content, and a portion will engage with that product. And that's an example of a blog inner page, and you can see the ebook on the left hand side as people are reading the blog. And the example I just showed you with Fertility Ontario, we could track that. In the last 10 months, over 600 ebooks were downloaded from that website. And that alone contributed to a over 675% increase in leads since launching that website back in July. And to really like explain that better. So website previous to July with older website, no content marketing like ebooks, produce X number of leads. New website with content marketing produced 6 times the number of leads. And it did it for 10 months straight. So it wasn't a fluke. That's what that slide means. So it's good. Ebooks are good. Doesn't work in every business, but you'd be surprised. A lot of businesses, it works very well for to capture that third segment that I find just most businesses don't think about. Digital trick number 4, webinars. So this is on the same theme as the ebooks. Premium content, they're valuable, taps into the intellectual property knowledge within your business. And oftentimes, I just recommend you give that knowledge away for free. Here are some examples. We've rolled out this kind of webinar strategy very successfully with Scholar's Choice. You can see it there with Fertility Ontario. And as you know, TBK Creative, of course, has a webinar series as well that is very successful. And we had a great webinar. I know a bunch of you who are on this call today were on this call last month. We had David Canton from Harrison Pence on the call speaking about email marketing and the law. And I know if we could all see you right now, if I said, was that call valuable? I know you'd put up your hands because I personally got a ton of value from it as well. And I was the host, I wasn't even the attendee. These work, they add value, and it gives us a chance to know more about you as well. When you host webinars, people have to register. That now creates a lead. You can either follow up with them via phone. That works much better in B2B type businesses because people are just more receptive of phone calls in a B2B type environment. Doesn't say B2C can't work either, and there are instances when I would recommend that, especially if you're committed to cranking up sales. And then at the very least, you can migrate that data into an email marketing program, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. And offering something for nothing really still does work in human-to-human interactions. Digital trick number 5 is email marketing. So I think that's a really good segue. I once in a while hear critics saying email marketing doesn't work or it's broke or whatever, and it's really not. It's not broke. It's could be anything further from the truth. I like email marketing. I get more bullish on email marketing even as social media matures, to be really honest with you. And that's saying a lot because I think everybody knows how much of an advocate I am for social media, but I'm bullish on email marketing. Why I'm bullish about it is that it's still I think it's the most effective medium to guarantee getting a message in front of your list. It's more effective than Facebook or Twitter because with something like Twitter, like a social network, any social network, you still have to rely on the person logging in at a particular time, and you got to make sure you've posted and all that kind of stuff. With Facebook, you deal with EdgeRank nowadays, where you have no guarantee that your message will be at the top of the newsfeed. So I'm bullish on email if you do it the right way and you find a way to really have people opt into your newsletter list, because you can guarantee that it's in their inbox. And they might not always open it, and you can actually see through statistics whether somebody opens or not through any really good third-party email marketing software. I'll mention one in a minute that I recommend. So they might not, they might not always open it, but they'll see it. That's the powerful thing again, guys. And you just think about your own email, right? You have to see, because you don't want to miss any emails coming in. And so it's a really nice branded touch point. Maybe it's every month. I've seen businesses do way more than every month, and shockingly, the statistics are still good and the unsubscribe rates are still low. As I said, I'm bullish on email marketing. And you're just seeing some creatives here of campaigns that we've run recently for groups like Union Burger, Coffee Culture, Krabby Joe's, Brock Doors and Windows out of Toronto, North Star Windows and Doors. And here's a case study, and these can be tracked as well. So we helped Oakwood launch their email marketing program last December. Their first campaign that went out generated one email. It was one email. So that's publishing, pressing the button once. We could track 97 sales. We tied it back into that one email campaign alone. And so if you looked at what they paid, our agency fees to execute versus how much revenue they generated, it tallied over 1,300%. And we just got off another email campaign where it was around 1,300% again with the same client. Email marketing, when done well, when you have the right offer at the right time to the right list, and you generate that list in the right way, and there are laws around it now, so make sure you know about the right way. It works. I do encourage you, go to tbkcreative.com/blog. It's in the archive. There might be a screenshot of it. Oh, good. Yeah, no, it's coming up. I encourage you to get educated on email marketing, because there is a new law that was introduced in Canada back in 2010, and it will change how us as marketers collect and communicate with our lists for commerce purposes. And so that is a webinar that we recorded. It's available on that URL there. It's about an hour in length, but it's really well worth the listen to. We had small to very large businesses across Canada join us for that call. It's an important topic for a few reasons, regulatory wise. So make sure you're doing it right. So it's online there, and it's free for you to look at.
And Andrew, everybody can access it from our TBK Creative YouTube channel as well if they want to share it with anyone.
Yeah. YouTube.com/TBK Creative. Digital trick number 6. I made up this word, but I think not the word itself, but sort of the phrase. I just think it fits well. I call it a parent display, and as the slide says, it's a nicer term than interruptive. So I'll show you what an interruptive display is. Anybody go to a blog or something, you get slammed with a message, like a pop-up box? Mm-hmm. That ever happened to anybody? Probably, right? And how did you feel when it happened? And now, so I say that, and I also will preface this as well, because I need to what I'm saying needs to be objective. That really does work on acquiring clicks or acquiring opt-in. It really does statistically, because you'll have a portion of people click now this link or fill out their information, opt into the newsletter. But there's another impact to it that I'm not fully I'm not able to fully objectively measure, and you're going to need to do that through surveys, and it's how many people kind of get sick of seeing that kind of messaging, and I think every business is different. I think news sites have a little more leeway to do that than, let's say, a law firm website. And so I think there's some restrictions that interruptive display has based on the business. So I have a term here that we like to call a parent display. And it's something that's a little more subtle and elegant. And so what you're looking at is a plugin that TBK Creative created, and we make it available for licensing very affordably. And you can see it on the bottom of North Star's website there. And so someone can just close it off, and it's going to stay up until somebody does close it off. So they can't miss it, but they can still navigate the website, which is nice. You can see it on Scholars Choice's website. You can see it on our own website. These things work. On average with our clients and our tracking, it's around 14%. 14% of people that land on a site will click this. So these are important. If you have a promotion that's coming up, just like what Oakwood Resort had there, they had a promotion coming up or a campaign. It's a great way to leverage the amount of traffic you have now and start to funnel a portion of that traffic towards that offer. It's very effective. And the digital trick number 7 is just a missed opportunity that I see on a lot of thank you pages, or when people contact you, or e-commerce sites after somebody buys a product from you. And it's this. It's putting your social channels in an opportunity for someone to subscribe to you, whether that's liking your Facebook page or following you on Twitter. It's making that available to people on that thank you page. And I like this trick because it's a trick that, and I think it really can be called a trick, not that there's trickery here, but that it's something that I don't think gets thought about a whole lot is that thank you page. What an obvious way to increase your social channel size is to leverage people that have bought a product. I'm sure they're advocates by that point, or they're on their way to be. So leverage that. They already bought from you. They already filled out the form. You already have their phone number and email. So what's next? Well, I think this is a very natural what's next. And so what you're looking at there, if you need to get that installed, that's actually like if it's the Facebook one, have a developer do it, but it's very easy to do. Facebook provides particular code that can go on your website that will display your Facebook page for you. And then I like these because someone can even like your page without ever leaving the website. The last digital marketing trick today, and then we're going to get hit Q&A on a really good time here, is retargeting. I really love this one. Has anybody been to like an e-commerce website recently? Maybe it's a national brand. A lot of the national brands are doing this these days. A lot of like websites, like e-commerce type websites. Has anybody been to a site and then a few days later you notice that site that you went to 2 days ago is advertising to you? Reagan, has that happened to you before?
All the time. I think they're following.
All the time. Yeah. And nobody ever like as a consumer, honestly, I don't think consumers really think much about it. I don't think they do. But this can be effective, and it is here. So I want to make you guys available of it. I just think it's important that you know that this is available. It's in your marketing toolkit now as marketers, and it's retargeting. Google has a retargeting program. So does Facebook. Google's is called remarketing. Facebook is called FBX. And so what basically happens, I'll use the example here, a TBK creative case study is when somebody lands on a website like North Stars, we can store a Google approved cookie on their computer. So it is a cookie provided by Google. It's not provided by some unknown person. And it gets stored on their browser, and people can clear their browsers if they wish to clear them. It's like any cookie. The cookies get stored all the time on websites or on browsers when users go to websites. And so you can have that kind of get triggered on whatever site you want, wherever that is. Maybe it's a landing page. Maybe it's when there's actually a way to do it when somebody doesn't fill out a form. You can initiate remarketing. And here's what happens. And these screenshots are from my computer. You can see Andrew in the top right there. I'm signed into our YouTube channel, and you can see I'm now being advertised to in the top right. On the Weather Network, people say, how do you get that great placement? Well, it's remarketing. It's remarketing. TripPic, as I'm uploading pictures, this advertisement, this brand is following me. They're even on Forbes. I love that one. They got me twice on one page. That was my favorite when I saw that. I was like, wow. It's like I could be like, oh yeah, I'm doing great as a marketer, but Google took care of that one for me. And so that's remarketing, and I want to make you guys available of it. And you'll see it in different, being provided by different vendors in the future. As I said, Facebook's got its own version. Google has its own version. You'll see other vendors making it available as well. So be aware of it. The technical term of it is called retargeting.
There are some audience members that are agreeing with you, Andrew, that they do see it a lot with bigger brands. But it's neat that it's available for smaller brands as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah, that's the nice thing. The reason, just so you guys have a little better background of why, like how that exists, because I think a lot of people recognize Google as like a search tool, and obviously everybody on the call knows that Google makes their money through advertising. But what a lot of people think that Google only makes money on search, like the actual search pages. And so what has happened in the last several years is Google has reached out and made available. They've reached out to websites that they might be big websites or they might be small websites, to any size, but they're websites that don't want to really have to staff for advertising themselves and sell their own media. So Google basically provides code to them and says, basically, we can make you money, website, just install this code. We're gonna handle billing. We're gonna handle filtering, making sure that they're appropriate ads. We're gonna do it all for you. We're gonna do your sales for you, and just put this code on the website. And one of the models, of course, is pay per click, and we'll pay based on the volume of people that click on the ads. So that's where that kind of gets driven from. I think I just want to share that with you guys. So like why how did Google get in that game of providing Google sponsored ads across the internet? That's how. It's websites that have reached out to Google to sign up for their ad program for a variety of reasons, but typically because they don't want to staff up themselves internally for advertising purposes. So what I wanted to do now, we've completed the 8 tricks today to digital marketing mastery, and I wanted to open it up to Q&A.
Awesome. So we'll just start monitoring those coming in. If everybody remembers there, if they haven't entered a question yet, just under the question header, you can type anything you'd like into the chat box. Wait till we get some coming in.
Yeah, I hear from Kathy. She says, I flip and hate interruptive displays. Rock on, Kathy. I agree with you.
You might want to coin your term, Andrew.
The apparent displays.
Display.
I think it's a good term for it.
All right. So actually, Mike is just asking if our slides will be available at a later date, if they're going to be shared to everybody. Mike, they will be, just as our last email marketing webinar was. It will be turned into a blog post, and you will be able to access it at tbkcreative.com/blog. And we will have the YouTube video embedded in it, so you will have access to all the slides. And then we have another Michael. What is the best way, Andrew, to target display marketing at a specific audience?
Geographically first, but display marketing. So in terms of Google, to step one step back. So there's kind of 3 major verticals that Google offers. There's search, and that's when your ads show up when people search. There's display network, and that's you can now be inside of their different websites. And then there's a form of display called remarketing. That's what we were chatting about. I would say with remarketing, since it's a form of display, the best way is to use it. I think it's a really powerful brand play, but to use it on people who get to a certain point on your website and they don't fill out a form. So you could do it that way. So Michael, with your company, to control budget, you could only make it available to people who maybe got to the order page for your product. I know you guys sell, and then you could trigger remarketing at that point, and that way it's a little more focused. And then to tie back into the first trick, you set up conversion tracking on your campaign, because then you can measure the ROI of the campaign. So you can kind of see how some of these kind of points tie together really powerfully. And then if you set up if by phone or a phone analytics software, and there are other ones out there, then you can also figure out the ROI on your remarketing campaign as well.
So Andrew, if you notice, Michael actually just mentioned that he is using remarketing at this point. He wants to know how it can go to more of a new audience.
Well, remarketing won't. Remarketing won't. It'll go to the audience that you're doing right now. What I would recommend, Michael, is you really toy around with all the targeting that's available within Display Network, but you monitor it. So if it's not working, then that's probably the best thing to do without diving too deep into this. Monitor the success of the campaign you're running, figure out if what you're doing is working based on conversion tracking, maybe having phone analytics set up on your website. So you at least know. And then if it's not working, then as like any good digital marketer, you try something different until you've learned all the things that doesn't work. You've learned what does. I see campaigns that don't always show a positive ROI with direct, like a direct positive ROI with Display Network, and that's okay. not every medium is going to show an immediate positive ROI for every business. If it did, I think it'd be too easy. And we probably wouldn't have to have this call. So when that happens, then just think about other mediums. So if you're speaking about a B2B specific industry, I'd be really thinking about who your customer is. I'd be thinking about the trade publications that they're in. I'd be thinking about, well, who are those big players, publisher wise, perhaps, and then maybe there's some digital media you can buy through those sites. I'd maybe toy around with LinkedIn advertising, and just try that as well, because you can do conversion tracking through LinkedIn, and experiment and track results there. I think where it gets hard for businesses is a lot of businesses are trying to do digital media, but they don't have the tracking down. So if you don't have the tracking down, you never know if what you're doing actually works. And so my hope today is that I've given you guys some tools that allows you to start now to determine if what you're doing actually works. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But you're now empowered and enabled to refine what you're doing, so that you can get to a point where what you're doing works and you're way ahead of your competition because you've actually spent the time to learn what doesn't work.
No more fear of digital marketing, right?
No more. The heads are getting out of the sand.
There's actually another question here for you, Andrew.
Yeah.
So Kathy's asking, with the phone analytics concept, how does somebody determine like the phone numbers that are being displayed? Like, is it done through the vendor's actual software?
Yeah, it is. It is, Kathy. That's correct. And I saw that in your question too. It is. You can ask most vendors. You can choose almost any kind of like local phone number or toll free. And so what you'll want to do at the start, and like the vendor will properly walk you through this, their accounts person. But I'll let everybody know generally how it goes. You need to determine how many phone numbers, let's say on your main page. So if you currently have one, like let's say it's a 1-888 number at the top, like a toll-free number, you need to determine how many different phone numbers you really want to have rotate. And so typically 5 is an okay number. And typically, you can do more if you want, but there's cost with each additional one, so you just have to be aware. And so you can have one for like your search engine marketing campaign. So what will happen, Kathy and everybody, is every time somebody comes to your website from, let's say, Google AdWords, it'll display that phone number. It'll always display that phone number. Through Google search, organic, so it'll display a different phone number direct to your website. Social media, that's kind of cool to now begin to start to track what your social channels are generating you in direct sales. And then you can have like a wildcard one that could be within an email campaign or on a print brochure to start to measure print. That's available now as well. So that's generally how I look at it, Kathy. But the vendor does provide you those phone numbers, and it's trackable through the software that they have.
I think we have time to squeeze in one more here, Andrew. Cynthia's asking about more of the content side, blogging related. What do you think is most effective for the blogging amount? Like how often, what to blog about? If you're going to be sharing maybe blogs in an email marketing campaign or something like that.
That's a great question. That's a great question, and I have some background because I know Cynthia, you're a client of ours. And it does obviously depend on the business itself. And I'm going to try to create some generalities here and still give you some good advice. So inside of and to not be specific, but to give people background. So Cynthia comes from a charity lottery initiative through a hospital foundation, and so blogging can be effective in general, Cynthia and everybody, for things such as organic SEO, surprisingly, and that is going to be a bigger future of Google. Google really wants to help rank people's websites better based on dynamic, relevant content. Blogging can be a big part of that. So that's one of the reasons to blog. Blogging can also create really good content and fodder for your social channels. So if you're thinking about what to put on Facebook or Twitter, it could be a link to a cool blog. So inside of your type of business, Cynthia, I would think really just blogging about the successes that people have when they win. Like maybe it's a blog and it's an interview style on actually some of the winners. You know, how is life different after the lottery, after the charity lottery. Um, Throughout you could be doing little successes maybe in the homes, maybe writing about different volunteers and why they do what they do. I think that sends a really powerful message. It markets the fact that you can volunteer and help the hospital foundation as well, and the difference that the money that people donate makes to the hospitals, to the healthcare of people in that region in Canada. So those are like, so what I just spoke about there is kind of getting into more what you call content strategy. So to generalize it now, if you're going to blog, what everybody needs to think about is what is going to be the content strategy for your business. Um, at Scholar's Choice, we really focus on, and Reagan can really speak into this, we really focus on producing educational content that makes a real difference for parents and teachers to help them cause educational excellence for students and children across Canada. That's a content strategy. So when we come from that mission of a content strategy, what to blog about becomes easier. If we didn't figure out the mission in the first place, we wouldn't know what to blog about. So I think any good blogging strategy really is driven from the ethos of a brand, like why it exists. At TBK Creative, we really try to produce how-to articles that make a real difference, like remove the BS, but make a real difference in people's web and social media and digital marketing. And that really drives us. It drives everything in this business. And then so we can blog about that. That's why we're gonna, we've recorded this webinar, and it's going to become a blog in a week's time. We're going to get on YouTube, we're going to embed it, and it actually becomes a blog, and then we're going to share it in our social channels. And then people are going to see that it's going to become available, and then they're going to come to the website to listen to it. And so that's another example of how we use blogs. And so I would say, yeah, figure out what that content strategy is. What is the mission behind your blog, and then create. And then I think it'll just be easier. I think you can create content consistent with that.
Absolutely. Amazing. Andrew, we've got quite a few thank yous rolling in here to be directed at you. So thank you very much for sharing all of your digital marketing knowledge here with everybody.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Actually, would you mind clarifying just how you can be reached if anybody on our call wants to speak with you directly?
Yeah. The best way to reach me, and I'm always open to chat. Best way is just to send me an email. It's andrew@tbkcreative.com.
Awesome. Okay, so the other ways that TBK Creative can actually be reached for everybody in the audience, we've got our Facebook page, facebook.com/TBK Creative, and we'd love to have you as fans. You can follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/TBK Creative. And on both of those channels, you're going to learn about all of our upcoming webinars and then some other educational digital marketing related material. So just to be respectful of everybody's time here, everybody's probably just ready to get back to work. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the call. Thank you, Andrew, for being on it as our guest expert. And on behalf of everybody at TBK Creative, we hope to see you again on one of our webinars, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.